Actual broadcast here, and we're good to go. It's
That
it's funny. Ever since you got that new mic, like I'm all right. I can hear you talking, whatever. But then when you were on your phone there just for a few minutes and then swapped over, the difference is just absurd. It's
like night and
crazy.
day, right?
It's
Yeah.
insane. Yeah. Just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that mic really do be working.
It works. Yeah, no, and it was your recommendation too. So I mean, shout out to you. I wish I had the name in front of me so I could like recommend it to people, but maybe we'll list it in the comments or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, Amazon, what, $40? Yeah.
wasn't bad at all. Yeah, it's one of those Razer
Yeah.
microphones. On the
That's what
but
it is.
and you know what's crazy to me is like that's on their lower end, and like the quality you're
Right?
getting is ridiculous. You gotta just, I mean, it's insane what they must be pulling out with those other ones. Then
Makes me wonder, yeah, for sure.
absolutely. All right, week 10, possibly no hung. We don't know if she'll be joining or not. I know she's real busy with the kids. Uh, you know, taking over the world or whatever it is she likes to do.
Sure, sure.
Seems to be. Um,
Been a
yeah,
busy week for all of us,
it
it
has
seems.
been. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly. I ended up missing my niece's concert. That's what I was supposed to do today because
Oh,
just got busy with work and I mean, I just like couldn't get away. Um,
right.
man, you know, this time of year is just ridiculous for me. I don't know about you and your work, but yeah, for me it's just I'm ready for February already.
Uh, yeah. For me, yeah. Like, again, I don't want. I try to not like really say what I do on
Sure.
here or anything, but I mean, I'll just say, I mean, it's kind of involved in like, uh, I would say in the kind of retail industry, and Black Friday, all those deals are coming up, so yeah, it's getting a little crazy, getting a little crazy.
Getting a little crazy for sure.
Yeah.
It's
So
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
always
Today was
exciting.
busy. Yeah, I was gonna say today was busy. Tomorrow's probably gonna be busy. Every day this week has been like nuts for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and I mean everything's just picking up all over the place too, including in the good old NFL. Have
Absolutely.
but I know a lot of people out there if they didn't even hear our podcast last week about it, the World Cup's about to start too, so that'll be taking up a lot of people's times, I'm sure, if they're all watching
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Um, what else? We got base or not baseball, basketball, hockey. I mean, shoot, KU with that huge win on Tuesday.
100%.
Oh man,
100%.
I was surprised to see, yeah, like doing the little gambling I do, that we were like decent underdogs on that game. You
Yeah,
know, according to the sports book.
which is interesting. Yeah, because I agree with you. I know that they were suffering some I guess decent injuries on their side, so that played a role. And well, they're saying that played a role in our victory. I mean, I don't know, but we also didn't have a lot of our bench was injured too, so we really didn't have like a very deep bench to work with
Right.
for that game. So, I mean, we pulled it out. Defending national champs, looking to repeat.
Looking
So we'll
good.
see what happens.
And is this Duke's first year without Coach K, or was that last year? I can't remember.
I think it is this year. I
Which
think
is,
this is the first.
yeah, and
Yep.
I'm talking about big shoes to fill. I wouldn't want to be their head coach right
New
now.
era.
I know,
New era.
right? Absolutely. And then what KU only has, did we even return a starter? Like one or two, right? No, not
That
starter wise, we didn't return any, did we?
that I do not know.
Oh,
I'm not,
I'm trying to
I'm
think
not
like through the list of people who won the Natty, the five starters, and I don't think we
sure.
returned one of them. But also it's one of those strange cases too, where most of them were like senior junior types. So they're
Which to me, that usually ends up being like one of the teams that has the best chance of going to the national title. Like we do these one and done. The one and done thing's been a thing for a very long time. I think
hmm
it actually started with Kansas when our first year there. Our
yeah.
first Xavier Henry, I think, was the first one and done. But
He
I'm
was the first
pretty
one and done under Bill Self.
under Bill Self. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, obviously I don't have the numbers, but it's like there's Kentucky who are just they've mastered it
hmm
and they get into the ship every time. But most of the time, the other big contenders in the Final Four are usually like those senior schools, like those schools with like a couple. elder statesmen or whatever, the juniors and
Yeah.
seniors have been there for a while, they usually end up making the deeper runs. So
Yeah,
I'm always in favor of that. I understand that these kids gotta get their money. Like,
right.
they got the talent. They want to get into the league as soon as possible. Maybe with this whole NIL thing, we might see a little bit more competitive basketball because people won't be trying to rush to the league, especially before they're not ready. Because a lot of those guys will get to the league and then you never hear from them again after,
Yeah.
after a
Yeah.
couple years. You
Okay,
know,
yeah, because the big problem is you get these people who are like 18 years old and they're okay, yeah, sure, they're 6'8", 7 foot or whatever, but they weigh
yeah,
about 110 pounds soaking wet,
or
right? And then you get
yeah,
to the NBA and the organization that drafts them wants them to put on like 100 pounds, so they go from being whatever they are, they add on 50, 100 pounds, and none of them can walk in like 2 years because they just like
right,
get wrecked. They don't have that slow buildup that you really need in college. It will
yeah.
be interesting to see what happens, like if that allowing college players to make money off of their name and all of that helps retain talent better. Because I mean, for sure, there's no way they're making as much as like an NBA player would, right? There's just,
No,
but
no, but
still, it
they're
helps
making
bridge
some.
that gap. Yeah.
Yeah, they're making some good money. I know for a fact, not for a fact, but I did see a report like that the students at SMU, I'm calling you over here in Dallas, their football team was a couple of them I guess were making like 32K on top of for a college kid, that's pretty good.
Well, and
I'm
that was
saying
in the what was that 80s or 90s? So yeah.
that was
I,
this year. No, it was
oh,
last
SMU.
year.
Oh, okay, okay. So this wasn't when they
Yeah.
got that death penalty. This was.
No, they were probably making a lot more back then. Because I'm not saying that's a lot of money, but for a college kid, that's a good amount of money. You
Shoot,
know what I'm
man.
saying?
Yeah, I think that's what my first job out of college is making. If I could have been making that in college,
That's a
hell
lot of people.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of people's like entry level like salaries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Spe-
especially if you're not going to the NFL or anything like that.
right. Yeah, if you're not quite good enough yet.
Yeah,
Um, well, in the NFL, I think is that rare case where it's like it's probably the only sport out there that really wants players to go through as much college as possible, right?
yeah,
Because
you have to.
yeah, because you need that size and that maturity in order to get up there, and then really make your break. Whereas like, yeah, like baseball, basketball, issue baseball. I mean, they're pretty much sending, not even sending kids to college, right? They pretty much all go to AAA almost right off rip. I always hear about the Royals drafting some local kid. It seems that's like fresh out of high school, and I'm like, what? You're, fresh, you're you guys are drafting, high school kids and then sending them off some like Omaha or something to go play AAA ball. I'm like, man, that would be talk about job security, right? Like you just like right out of high school and you're already having a professional baseball team drafting you. It's got to feel good.
Yeah, that's a whole different animal. Baseball,
It's insane.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then of course you start digging into soccer where they have academies that spring up for people as like young as like 6, 7. It's wild. And then you get football where they're just like, no, you need to be 22 before we're going to touch you.
I mean, I think those are different sports though. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
absolutely. Yeah.
Like football, like I'm watching Derrick Henry run motherfuckers over right now as we speak.
Mm.
Because at the time of this recording, if you end up listening to this later, the Thursday night football week 11, are we in week 11?
We are in week
Yeah,
11. Yeah.
this is the start of week 11. Watching the Titans Packers, and I'm seeing like even though Derrick Henry was this big and he was probably this big in uh
Fifth
in
grade.
in in Bama, yeah, but it just I don't know. I'm just saying like these guys are all a lot larger than you are your freshman year in college. So
Right.
it would not make sense for the one and done thing to happen in football.
No.
Like it would like it does with baseball's different. It's not as physical of a sport. I would say basketball's a little bit different, so it's not as
Hmm.
physical, but yeah, yeah.
No,
There
100%. It's yeah, it's so strange. Like just look at the schedule alone as proof to like the physical demands, right? Like no doubt running up and down a basketball court all night long. What those games on the clock, it's an hour, hour and a half, right? About so game
yeah.
time wise, I can't remember, but yeah, running up and down that's tiring. But there's also a reason why those teams can play, 4 or 5 times a week if they need to. Because like a human body can do that with just cardio. You're not getting contact all the time. But then when it comes to football, like people just don't even want Thursday night games. Like players don't want Thursday night games because it's such a short recovery time from their Sunday games to Thursday. They're like, no, we can't do this. Um,
Right.
or even talking about the physicality with I know we talked about the Kelsey brothers podcast. And it was one of their earlier podcasts or whatever, but Jason Kelsey was talking about how Veterans Days exist in the NFL. So, you reach a certain age in the NFL and teams are like, yeah, you don't have to do any contact, whatever practice on Wednesdays. So, like a lot of these people, these like certain age veterans aren't even doing like contact practice until like Thursday, Friday. And that's the only time they're doing it because that's just how much time you need to rest and recover. And I'm sitting here thinking like,
100%.
yeah, I'm thinking back to like middle school, high school when I was playing, football and they were like doing like 2 a days forcing us out there in ridiculous heat doing contact and all that. And I'm like, these guys get to only do it twice a day? Shoot. That sounds nice.
Right, right.
Ah,
Yeah, no, we were I don't even want to talk about that. That's a whole nother
mm-hmm. Yeah,
some
whole
2 days
nother
and a
whole nother
hundred
level
percent
of
100
child
degrees.
abuse.
Yeah, bro. They no for real. Like I don't know how they got away with
Right?
that stuff. He was
Yeah.
out there dying, bro.
They've been changing their
That's a good
tune on
point.
that lately, thankfully. But shoot, man, that was crazy times.
But it wasn't messed up to us. We were just doing it. Like,
Right, right. No, we were just like, this is how it is. This is how it is.
oh, that reminds me of something I saw. Like, you know how like coaches used to tell you, like if you bent over, you couldn't having trouble breathing, you bent over, and they're like, ain't no air down there. It's actually proven that there is more oxygen lower down there.
the
So that's actually a lie.
the whole like raise your hands above your head and all that kind of stuff,
Yes,
and that doesn't work. It turns out.
actively killing us. Yeah.
Oh man. All right.
But let's talk about the
Let's
Chiefs.
talk
Let's
about a
go ahead
little
and get
Week
into
10
yeah,
play
week
here.
10.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Chiefs 20, Titans 17. I don't know why I didn't update the score to the Jags game here. That's a mistake, so my fault. God.
Oh, that's all good.
I'm just sitting here like, wait a second. This doesn't seem right. Hold on, wait a second. All right. So, yeah, let's talk about this Chiefs game. Good win against the Jaguars, 27-17, is what it should say. Not Chiefs 20, Titans 17, but 27-17. So a little bit of that's
All
right.
good. All good. Yeah.
Uh,
Chiefs 27-17. Chiefs dominated pretty much the entire game.
and yeah, it's one of those things where it's like we definitely dominated, but I feel like this is more of a reflection on just how bad the Jaguars' offense was versus their defense. I felt like their defense did pretty good. And what the Chiefs have been averaging ever since Mahomes came into the NFL, somewhere around like what, 35, 36 points a game or something like that. Something ridiculous, like over 30 points. And for the Jags to come in and hold us to 27, and a couple of those, a chunk of that 27 came from fourth quarter. Everyone's tired and getting garbage time points. I mean, it,
sure.
compare that to the 49ers, who are supposed to have one of the best defenses in the league, and we put 44 up on them. So, props to the Jags for sure for the defensive play out of there. They need to figure their offense out. That was just tough to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, give our guys some credit too. We definitely look good. We
Oh,
were
absolutely.
firing.
Yeah.
Um, Man, and see if you want to go ahead and start with this first point. Your boy Tony. I
Tony.
owe apology. I owe an apology to this man. I wasn't talking like mad trash on
No.
him, but I
Yeah.
was kind of like, do we need another receiver?
Yeah.
Do we like I didn't think so. Like just I'm like, okay, our defense to me was where we need to shore up. And I still kind of feel that way. This week, I mean, we look good and everything, but that doesn't really change that for me. I think just coming into the playoffs, knowing some of our opponents that we're going to go up against, with our firepower, our offensive firepower is great. Obviously, we're top dog or whatever, but still, I do think that I do think when it comes to playing someone like Buffalo, and we'll get to them a little bit later, but playing somebody like them and stuff, I do think the difference in those games are going to come down to the defensive stops
It
because those are going to be some two high-powered offenses going against each other.
When we acquired Tony, I felt like he was there to fix a problem we didn't have,
Yeah,
especially at
that's a
the
good way to put
time.
it.
The second point, half of our bullet point here, though, Anthony, is with Hardman sidelined. You know, if
Yeah,
Hardman was healthy and good to play this past game, I don't think Tony has the stat line he does. If he gets even a quarter of the snaps that he did, right? Like
sure.
that's the kind of role that Tony does play is the same kind of role that Hardman will play. Now, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like we can sit here and say, "Oh my God, Veach is a genius. He knew Hardman was going to get injured or whatever." It's like, okay, obviously, there's always the chance that one of these players does get injured, and we should talk about some of the injuries that did happen in this game that were a little ridiculous.
absolutely.
But I was always thinking, like, especially after we got Tony, but even leading up to us getting him, it's like, well, I mean, we spent good draft capital to get Sky Moore, and so it's like if any of
Sure.
those three guys were to go down, not just Sky Moore was there to fill in the little niche there, the little hole, but we have Watson. We have a couple of running backs who can catch the ball pretty well. We got Noah Gray, we got Jody Fortson. Like, I mean, we had so much depth in the talent pool for receiving the ball that it felt like drafting Tony, or not drafting, but trading for him was a waste when we do need to shore up our defense.
Which makes me wonder. So this, I mean, it's clearly a future move, right? But is it
Hmm.
like, yo, here's my little theorizing or whatever
Yeah,
is, have they made a decision on like someone like McCole? Like, or like, okay, we're not really seeing what we need from him, but we still kind of want that speed, that kind of Tyreek guy. We thought it was gonna be McCole. It's not. Let's look at this guy for the future, and then see what we can get for McCole next next year. You know what I'm saying? Do you think it's something like that?
I think it's even a little bit different than that. Travis Kelsey is 33 years old, which means
Sure.
he probably has another good 2 years in him. Short and until he starts to degrade, right? The fact that he hasn't started to degrade is pretty impressive and speaks massively towards his just physical capabilities. But especially since he started off his NFL career with one snap and then needing a season-ending surgery to get fixed, it's just beyond impressive that he's stayed so healthy ever since then. And now he's on the wrong side of 30 for sure. He's getting up there in age, and you just know at some point he is going to get tired and not be able to play. Um, and then we run a West Coast offense, which typically leans on receivers more than tight ends, I feel. So
Sure.
knowing all of that, I think Tony's more here to fill in the potential possibility that Kelsey doesn't last that much longer versus
That's
Cole.
interesting.
That's my thought, and I'm probably totally wrong.
Well, we can keep the receipts on that.
Would not, no.
No, no. Okay, all right.
I would not. No, I'm probably very much wrong. Because it's just like think about like the average age of the tight ends when they had their stellar seasons. I think Jimmy Graham pretty much capped out at what 26, 27. Gronkowski, yeah, sure, he stayed around for a long time, but he was a shadow of himself the last few years of his season, and we knew that, and he knew that. He was there
Right.
to provide a physical presence for about 3 plays a game versus the majority of the game, like he did when he was in his early 20s. Who else? Antonio Gates. He did last quite a bit, but he's still. I think he retired around 32, 33, which is right where Kelsey is. George Kittle's going to play for a while, but that's because he ends up blocking most of the time. He doesn't. He's not down there receiving those downfield shots that Travis Kelsey does. Um,
Right.
so that's my thought. I Kelsey will play for as long as Mahomes does, though. I feel he won't want to leave his friend there, and they'll keep winning championships together. But um, we have like for the past few years, we haven't needed a slot receiver because we've had Travis Kelsey. Now Kelsey's on the decline. That's where Juju starts to come in and play that slot role because of his physical presence, and we've seen that. We saw that especially against the Titans, where Kelsey was shut down by that incredible Titans defense. But Juju played and ran the same routes that Kelsey was running, and had an incredible performance. So so we got our Kelsey replacement in Juju, and now Tony's here to play the wide receiver three, possibly, or whatever the case may be.
But is Kelsey on the decline? I mean,
I
he's really. he's leading the receivers and
Oh yeah.
yeah, receptions is like by a mile.
No, it's
Um,
and I mean I'm glad he is. He definitely is. I'm not going to, I'm not saying he's declining. I think he's just at that precipice where like even an injury that would typically not impact a really 20-year-old could be a career ender, because he's at that age where
right.
it's like, something that somebody who's 22 years old can bounce back the next season. 33 years of age, you're not bouncing back from an ACL or, a torn ligament in your ankle or a back injury like you would have, 10 years earlier. So,
Listen, man,
I,
listen. I need you to not. I feel like you hauled me out specifically on this. With all my with y'all know all my injuries.
right.
Like, yeah, your 31-year-old ass shouldn't be doing what you've been doing. We're doing at 25. I get it. Thank you for the subtle the subtle jabs there.
Oh man, oh no, it's I think it's just a preparation for a potential inevitable versus it being it's saying Kelsey's on the decline because he's not. He's our
Yeah,
team's leading receiver. It's entirely possible he leads the league in receiving, this year. He almost did. What was it, 2 years ago, or when we made it to? Was it when we made it to the Super? I can't remember, but there was that one year where he was only off by like 60 yards or something, leading the NFL
yeah.
in receiving. So yeah, Kelsey's not in a decline. I think it's just one of those things where one bad anything happens and then he's done, kind of thing.
They had 63 receptions this year so far.
That's just, I mean, he's having one of the best years of his career already. I mean,
Hmm.
shoot, like Raiders game, he had 4 touchdowns. Like, yeah, he's not on the decline at all, for sure. Um, and
Right, that's in 9 games. Yeah, so yeah, he's definitely.
and so I
I'm
and
not.
oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying I'm not quite worried yet.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not at all. And a lot of it probably is. Tony's there to substitute for Mikol whenever Mikol's out, or if we do end up parting ways with Hardman in the off season, we have the obvious replacement in Tony. Uh,
Yeah, I'm
I
willing to put that as my receipt.
Yeah, that Hardman's gone in the off season for this.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm gonna throw that in there. I'm gonna do that. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, if we ended up trading. I don't know if where his contract's at, but um, yeah, let's see. So Hardman gone in off season. You think trade or cut?
I think trade.
And I think we could probably get a lot for him in a trade too, which would be great.
Yeah,
What else do we got here? Defense wins championships, man.
for sure.
I mean, our defense was just on fire against these guys, I feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which again, sorry for clearing my throat, guys. But it is the Jaguars, so yes, like yes, we did what we were supposed to do against them. I still have concerns when it comes to the more high-powered offenses later in the season, what we're going to do. But I don't think we have a terrible defense by any means. Our defense does make plays; they'll step up. They even when it was against the Bills, like we held them to what 20 points, like it
Uh-huh.
was 2017. It wasn't like a blowout or anything like that. So yeah, no, we definitely got a great D. They did their thing. They were hyped down there. You could see them on the field. We'd love to see it. So absolutely.
Well, and I mean, we're talking about it. Okay, it's only the Jags, and we did well here. I don't remember what the stat was, but we essentially doubled the amount of sacks that they had allowed in this game alone. And the thing that we've been banging on about for forever is how bad our pass rush has been. Oh, here we go. Okay, so in 2022 regular season, opponents of the Jaguars have had 16 sacks, and we had 5 of those. So we increased it by half again coming into this, and it was something like there were more than a few games that they hadn't allowed a single sack. They got that absolutely outstanding. I think he's left tackle, might be right tackle, Sheriff, and dude is just a monster out there, and we made him look like child's play. It was insane. We did so good against this team that's had a pretty good sack protection. Um, feel like we've been really stepping up our game. A lot of that goes to L'Jarius Sneed, I feel, because he's out there getting sacks that even the best edge rushers in the league haven't been able to really kind of pull off. He's just an absolute monster when it comes to a little DB blitz there, and it's so much fun to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah, they looked good. I was happy to see it.
Yeah,
Happy
running backs though.
to,
We're talking about these
man.
little running back.
So was he hurt?
No,
I didn't realize. So after the game, I'm looking at my fantasy stuff that CH had 0 points for me, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Did I miss an injury? I know we had some bad hits in that game. I don't think he was one of them.
nope,
Yeah,
not at
it's
all.
all Pacheco.
All potato. So I mean, he didn't, and I'm going to find the exact stats here, but he didn't even have a single ball handed to him all game. He didn't even get a rushing attempt, from what I'm remembering here. He did get a couple of targets, and I want to figure out exactly how many targets in the past game, but I think it was like one or two. You know, he was a literal the definition of a non-factor in this game. And I just kind of blew my mind because, like, even in the games where he's had bad stat lines, there were still attempts. This time they're just like, Pacheco McKinnon, dude. We're going to give it to them. Let's see here. What do I got? Pacheco's 16 rushes or 16 carries for 82 yards. That's 5 yards a carry. That's insane.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful,
I love seeing that.
beautiful.
Love
You
seeing
see
that.
what it? Yeah, I was gonna say. You see what it looks like when you have a run when you actually use the run game, Coach Reed.
Yeah,
It looks good.
it looks real good. And yeah, okay, he didn't get any touchdowns on the ground, but he was a threat. And then all of a sudden, they had to worry about that. He had a couple of good jet sweeps too with Tony out there. He had 2 carries for 33 yards. And then McKinnon, he didn't really rush too much, but he was massive in the pass game. He had 6 receptions for 56 yards. It's like this.
Absolutely.
This is what you need out of a run game, right? You need one running back who's your receiver running back, right? And then you need one running back who's going to be your, workhorse, the guy getting the one through right, the first and second down carries. What we're really missing is like a third down back, that guy to get the real nitty gritty. I just need 2 yards every single time out of you kind of player.
Yeah,
Who knows if that's going to be CEH? He
it could be.
can run that the way. They just
Yeah.
didn't even trust it. They handed the ball off to Michael Burton before they handed it off to CEH in this last game, which is
Wild,
just
man.
insane. So, if anything, keep the receipts wise, what I'd throw out there is CEH is gone in the off season. You know,
Now that would be interesting.
so I'll go ahead and throw that one out there.
Okay,
I'll
okay.
I'll do that one. So, we'll keep
The
that
hot
one
takes.
right.
Want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Right. Hey, I'm still holding out hope for my Jets call still.
Hey man, hey, they beat him. They beat
It
him.
could happen. It could happen.
Yeah,
The one of the big stats for me, and this is just Mahomes' staple, right? 9 different receivers catching the ball. It would have been 10
yeah.
if Clyde had caught his pass, but hey, 9 different receivers, and it's not just like wide receivers either. Like we had 3 different tight ends catch a ball.
Right.
Um,
That's what you
what,
were saying about the Wildcat earlier about not really relying on tight ends. With us, it kind of does. Like
yeah,
we were throwing up, we were the tight ends were getting their pieces, getting their hands on it.
absolutely, yeah. And that's right. It's the Chiefs have Reed has always utilized tight ends a lot, even in his little West Coast offense. Um, doesn't lean on it too much, but I mean, when you got Travis Kelsey putting up, 6 receptions, 81 yards, then on top of that, you got Noah Gray, who had an absolutely beautiful catch in the end zone there. And then Jody Fortson always shows up right when you need him to.
Absolutely,
I mean, we got 3 tight ends that, could play the role of any receiver, it seems, on our team
absolutely.
half the time. I love this. So I think this is just like proof that we were never going to miss Hill. This is not a unique kind of stat line to 2022. I think a lot of people poorly assume that kind of deal, right? Mahomes has always spread the ball around, and I think knowing that
Yeah,
stat has just all proves that we didn't need Hill.
like his first year, our Super Bowl year, he was everybody was getting a piece. Like you had the sausage in the end zone. You had Sammy Watkins in the end zone. You had oh boy, I'm blanking on his name right now. With the
But that's just
dreads.
it, though, right? It's like you can't even remember people who have made game changing catches for the Chiefs because there have been so many, it's impossible to remember them, right? Like, of course,
Yeah.
we got Kelsey, we got Hill. Those guys have always been monsters for the Chiefs. But it's like, at the end of the day, the way Mahomes throws that ball around there, anyone on the team can catch it and make a game changer. We don't need to rely on those guys, unlike a certain LA team that's about to be in a lot of trouble. Um,
Would I miss something?
yeah, Cup is on IR.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yeah,
just
yeah.
really
That I know.
slaying one of my fantasy teams, but whatever.
Oh yeah, me too, man. Yeah, there's been a couple injuries this week that are hurting me.
Yeah, we should talk about them overall. I think yeah. Before we get to my fifth bullet point, which is going to be staying on there until I'm proven wrong, as I said on here, that hit on Juju.
Like the not even the hit, the non-call, like
They
the calling it and then saying never mind.
picked it up. Like,
What?
how is that not something that like New York is stepping in and saying, guys, that was a
Really?
bad penalty. I like
Yeah,
and for me it's not even, like us getting yards out of it or getting a first down out of it or anything like that. It's like that was a genuinely terrible hit that never should be done in the sport of football, and that player needed to be punished for it, and he got away
absolutely.
clean. And then what, 2 plays later, he
Does
does
it
a
again.
very similar hit. Now, I will say the second one much kinder, right? Like that kind of play, that kind of hit, I can understand not getting a flag. The one on Juju, I don't get at all. I mean, he speared Juju, took him straight, aimed for his head, unprotected, by the way, and the way Juju went down, and very much may not even be able to play this coming weekend because of how hard that hit was. I mean, it's insane to me that he didn't get any form of punishment there. I almost feel like, and I know this would be a very subjective thing and very hard to enforce because it already is a struggle to enforce in other sports that have something similar. But I feel like there should be some mode of penalty or punishment that can be levied against players who do unnecessary hits like that, that doesn't necessarily penalize the team they're on, right? So
No.
either something
Yeah,
where it's
go
like something where he has to sit on the sideline for X number of plays, or he's just flat ejected from the game, or whatever. I just like it's behavior that cannot be rewarded, but I can understand the hesitancy from a ref from awarding the other team 15 yards because of it, kind of thing, right? Like I still would rather the 15-yard penalty take effect because that kind of thing shouldn't happen. But at the very end
ahead.
of the day, the fact that that player was still allowed to be on the field is ridiculous to me.
Here's my thing about that. I'm afraid to like have them try to enforce anything like that just because they can't even get the calls right,
Right.
man. Like it's like that something like that, totally fine. They just like, no, that was a legal hit. That was fine. When we were complaining about like the roughing the passer calls a couple weeks
Uh
back,
huh.
like those were bad hits. It's like y'all can't even make up your mind what's a clean hit and what's not. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be afraid to give them that much power.
Yeah, and that's totally fair and it'd be very hard to enforce and like keep normal. It's just it's ridiculous that because I don't think he even ended up fined or anything for that hit at
Nothing.
all.
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing. And I know he's, like the all-star of that defense and one of the
Don't
better.
give a damn.
Yeah. Stop bringing the money into it. Stop bringing the popularity into it. The man made an incredibly dangerous play, and I mean, Juju's not going to play this weekend. If he does, I will be amazed. The way he got hit, he couldn't even walk down those stairs without somebody holding him up.
Sure. But they did say he's fine. His
Hmm.
mom chimed in, said he's doing okay, which is good. So hopefully we're not having too many other issues
It's
after
not a
that.
Tua situation, that's for
It's
sure.
not definitely not a two situation. Thank goodness. Thank
Thank
goodness.
goodness.
Yeah.
So it's things to keep out there, and we'll talk about the other injuries in the rest of the league in our next slide here. It's going around. It is the season, if you will, I guess. It's late enough in the season that everyone's kind of playing a little hurt as it is, and then it just takes a little tiny something to push even the best player over the edge.
Sure. Absolutely.
Can we talk
Well,
about my
yeah.
favorite topic?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into it because, yeah, I have a follow-up story for that.
Is it about that bet?
Yeah. Yeah. Did
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see?
yeah. I saw that. So I'll let you take that one. But man, Butker missing another PAT. And he didn't even have an opportunity to kick a field goal this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he had missed a field goal too. Maybe we'll never know. Can't read into anything that never happened. But Butker played 4 snaps in this game outside of I guess kickoff. So okay, 8 snaps total, but 4 snaps where he has some form of genuine responsibility, and one of the 4 times he can't show up. It's a PAT. This should be the easiest thing in the freaking world. I'm going to keep complaining until I'm blue in the face. It would be so much more entertaining to see just like a 1 point attempt or a 2 point attempt with the offense out on the field. And just depending on which point attempt you're going for dictates where you start with the ball there. I think college does something like that, or if I remember correctly. But um, I'm so over it. And like we talked about, what was it last week, week before, or whatever? It might be a lingering injury, but it's such that the kicking pool of available players for the Chiefs to have is so bad that we're allowing a person who's at 60% conversion rate this year to continue to be our kicker because there's literally no alternative that's better.
Yeah, man. Something's. I think, like you say, it's clearly an injury, but yeah, it's man, it's not good. It's
Hmm.
really not good at this point, and I don't know what the fix is. Do we let Reed take over for extra points and field goals for the rest of the year? Or
If it's me and I don't have any power, and it's probably good that I don't. No, we just go for 2 points every play.
sure,
Cause you got to think about it, right? With our stats, especially when it comes to 2 point conversions, but you even start factoring in things like fourth down conversions or whatever. Yeah, you got to assume we're going to make at least half of our 2 pointers.
sure.
And it'll probably be more, but let's a baseline of I think 50% of 2 point conversion um, success rate. That'll still end us then with the game as if Butker went out and kicked every PAT. If we make exactly half as many 2 point attempts as we would normally do with a kicker doing 1 point attempts, um, we'll be fine. And we'll probably even score more because our offense is ridiculous and we can score more than that when it comes to a 2 point conversion. So, and plus the statistics when it comes to football, the people who are the real number nerds have gone out there and shown that punting is always the wrong decision, kicking a PAT is always the wrong decision. It's always, always, always worth it at the end of the day to go for fourth. Go up for it on fourth and always go for the 2 pointer. Stats
Yeah.
have shown that, and it's just mind boggling to me that it doesn't translate. Not even in the NFL, but all the way down to the high school level. You know,
I
um,
think because I think if you fail the
the
field
backlash.
position, yeah, the risk of that and the risk of them having good field position is I guess too risky for
Well,
teams.
but
That would
even
be my
factoring into it, the stats nerds have proven, even if with that risk assumed, it still pays off more for your team to just go ahead and go for it.
answer. I
It,
mean, we
it's
don't
it's it, and it's I mean it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this probably works, or the stats show that this works because it's so limited, and if you start bringing it into the wider sphere and people always expect you to go for it on fourth, then that is a big game changer, right? So I can see
right.
why it's not brought into the NFL. It's just when your kicker's converting 60% of anything out there, go for two. I mean,
Sure.
oh man, but yeah, let's talk about this bet though that you found.
So, gentlemen, he did a parlay. Let me see if I can pull up the whole thing. $5 parlay was going to win $100,000 if uh Butker was able to make that kick, which. we know now that he wasn't. So
What the parlay depended on, I think, the outcome of the game to be 28-17. Wasn't that it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And because it didn't, and because he missed the one PAT despite the Chiefs still winning the game and they beat the over under, he had bet on them winning 28-17. Shoot, man. That's a
yeah,
heartbreaker.
yeah. Did you see he charged him up?
Uh-uh.
So he went and he I guess Bucker for whatever reason decided to go have like a meet and greet somewhere in Missouri. And so that guy found out where it was. I think this was Tuesday. That guy found out where it was and went to go like confront him about it and had Bucker sign his jersey saying, "I lost you $100,000."
Okay, props to Bucker for doing that, I guess, but I
No,
mean,
Bucker, that's to me a little too much. I mean,
yeah,
that's a little sketchy that he went and like found him and
that's
to have him do that. You know what I'm saying?
that's I love betting. I think it's a lot of fun. But to me it's fun. And that's where it needs to stay for people. When it does come to you like actively tracking down where somebody's going to be, um, it's time to stop gambling. I mean,
Yeah, bro.
that is dangerous because, like, yeah, well, this guy had good intentions, obviously, and made Butker sign a jersey, but not everyone's going to be doing that, and so um, that's the one big dangerous thing when it comes to gambling. So, of course, if you're out there and listening, and you ever feel ill will towards a human being because they lost you $5, there go Google a helpline. Honestly, you need it.
Exactly. For
Shoot.
sure. But
All right.
yeah, yeah, that was a thing. Other than that, that was a, I mean, good game. Good
Yeah.
game. It was, I mean, I had a friend who is not a Chiefs fan. That was her first Chiefs game, first game at Arrowhead. I'm like, is a first game, is any, like, that's a game to go to. You know
That
what
was a
I'm
good
saying?
game
Like,
to go
so
to. Yeah.
Chiefs put on the clinic. It looked great.
Yeah. Overall,
All right,
kind
let's,
of win we can hang our hats on.
absolutely. So, what's next? What else happened around the league?
Oh, well, there's this little team based out of Buffalo, New York that everyone keeps talking about being
Yes.
our foil this year, and they did beat us.
Yes.
They beat us quite
Include,
badly.
including me,
Yeah.
including me. I think they are right now. They were actually a couple leading into this week the team to beat, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But I don't know anymore.
Man, all right. So, I mean, to break down that game, oh, and then of course we have to talk about the other big news when it comes to a team losing. Yeah, Bills Vikings. Bills were pretty handily, if I remember, doing very incredibly well this whole game, right? And pretty well leading it. And then Kirk Cousins manages to bring the Vikings back super close. And then it's what 50 seconds left in the game, and the Bills have the ball on like their 2 yard line. Um, and then somebody, I think it was the center, messed it up because it wasn't. I don't think it was Josh Allen. It was the center. I like fumbled the snap awfully, and the Vikings recovered it in the end zone. Right? Wasn't that exactly what they did?
Yeah,
Man, recovered it in the end zone, and that's what put them up. That like what 32-30, and then they kicked the extra point for, or no, that tied them, and then they went into overtime.
it's tied. We had to
Yeah,
go into overtime for sure. Yeah.
man.
And it had me laughing. I seen a meme talking about 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins. I'm gonna tell my grandkids about him. In prime time, he's a problem, but 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins is a baller.
He is. It's insane the level of difference that he does play when it's not prime time, which is why they won't win a Super Bowl with him probably. But shoot, like right now out of the NFC, you could have paid me $100 and I never would have been able to think about the Vikings being the team to beat out of the NFC or one of the teams to beat out of the NFC this year, you know,
No,
at all. And
we've been sleeping on them all year.
they're 8-1.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they normally do pretty decent in the league, but we don't really, well, we don't expect them because the things we said, they usually end up choking when it matters.
Hmm.
And they had that bad man in their division, their conference. So
Yeah.
uh usually we're pretty much all but expecting the Packers to be the ones coming out of that conference, and
Hmm.
we might see one of the other teams, but most likely not. Right now, what they're leading that division. They're second place in the NFL, right? Um,
So yeah,
let me see.
second
Or
place
in
period,
the
or
NFC, in the NFC. I'm sorry.
well, and just like
I'm
overall league standings, I think they're no, actually they're considered in first
yeah,
because
first,
they
yeah.
have a better conference record.
Okay, they're in first. Yeah, they're in first. I mean, I think people still think the Eagles are de facto first place team,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, the Vikings, they are 8-1. They are miles ahead the Packers,
Oh yeah, and
the Lions and Bears. So
pulling up
they'll definitely make the playoffs.
pulling up just the division, the NFC North, Vikings 8-1, second place is Packers at 4-6.
Yeah, like
4-6, like
they
man,
all have losing records. They're the only team in that division with a winning record.
they're almost well. It's I mean yeah. What NFC East? Almost everyone has a winning record or 500 record. Uh, After that is Seahawks at 49ers, and then the Vikings. That's the only teams in the NFC with winning records. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, because the NFC South, like their division leader is the Buccaneers at 5-5. NFC West, they're barely breaking even. You got 6-4 and 5-4, the Seahawks and 49ers. So unless you're, the Vikings, the Giants, the Cowboys, or the Eagles, your record's not looking too good in the
Yeah,
NFC. Oh, that's too funny.
yeah. But thank you, Vikings. You've knocked the Bills into the sixth spot, the sixth seed as of right now, if the playoffs were to start today. And the Kansas City Chiefs do take over that one seed
But
currently.
Buffalo Bills are in third place behind the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. Can you imagine saying those words out loud?
It's wild. Like it's like it only took like one loss and it just knocked them down. Like I mean, I know they're 6-3, but it's like that loss. Yeah, that was a big game for them. That
Mm-hmm.
they did not live up to. They did not. I won't say live. Well, yeah, they didn't live up to expectations, but they didn't do what they needed to do. I think we did talk about keying in on that game earlier in the week. Last week, didn't we say we were gonna? That was one of our games of
One of
interest,
the games
and
to watch, yeah.
did not disappoint. It was an exciting game.
No,
So
yeah, I had people blowing up my phone. It's like, "Hey, you see the end of the game? You see the end of the game?" It's like, unfortunately, I didn't. And then I caught the highlights. I'm like, I wish I had seen the end of that game. Like, dang, man, what a game! And yeah, no, shout out to the Vikings. I felt like, and maybe this is just our AFC bias overall here, but like going into this game, it just felt like the Bills had already won. I don't know if that's like the attitude as the league as a whole, but yeah, if you had asked me, Saturday or even Sunday morning, the Bills Vikings, who's going to win? It's like, well, the Vikings will put up a fight, but Bills will probably win because it's the Bills. The big X factor was going to be Josh Allen's injury, and he played fine, so
right.
that wasn't an issue. And once he was healthy, it's like, all right, Bills probably win this game.
Well, that and I just don't think the league. I don't think well fans of the league respect the Vikings. Like they
No,
haven't really proven nothing until I mean this year. This year, the way that they're playing is a true surprise. Like I don't
uh
think
huh,
anyone saw this coming.
yeah, yeah,
No one saw the Vikings being 8-1. No
no
one saw
way.
the Packers being 3-6 or
Six.
4-6 right now. They're 4-6, and they're about to lose this game as we speak. People, if you're listening late, the Thursday night football, it is currently 14-6 in the third quarter. Titans up against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay.
And I
I'm
think
at that.
the Packers only scored all six of those points in the first quarter, so now they've gone almost two quarters now without a point scored. Ridiculous,
Right.
hilarious.
They're about to go 4-7.
Man, all right.
Yeah. Oh, Eagles. We skipped one.
Eagle, we
Eagles.
yeah
We
we skipped
corrected.
the yeah
Yeah.
we went straight to the Bills losing and forgot
I
to talk about
mean,
the Eagles.
we had to talk about that.
Oh, we
But
had
yes,
to.
the Eagles are no longer undefeated. The somewhere I've seen some great memes. Somewhere the 72 Dolphins are smoking that Eagles pack, enjoying life because their record remains intact for another year.
For another year, probably will forever. But shoot,
I mean, at this rate. But yeah, did you see the Commanders taking them down?
yeah, I caught some of that game. Definitely caught all the highlights of it. I mean, yeah, watching this game, they were neck and neck for a lot of it. I know that, or
Yeah.
Even when the Commanders pulled forward, it's like, okay, there's plenty of time on the clock. Hurts will do his thing and pull this out. I don't. I think this is a classic case, just like us with the Colts trap game. I
Game. Divisional rival too.
Yeah, divisional rival. Actually at home at Lincoln Field for the Eagles. Unreal. I just can't imagine the verbal abuse some of those players must have suffered, knowing how Eagles fans are.
It's
Uh,
just wild to me. It's
right,
so wild. They're just
man.
so.
They're just
It's such a toxic relationship,
right.
but they're used to it.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, it's at the point where it's like, yeah, nobody cares because it's what you expect.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I won't lie. Up until like probably the last 2 minutes of this game, I was still convinced the Eagles would win it. I really didn't think the Commanders would be able to pull it off because, well, duh. And what was it on the panel before? The people picking, the picks of who's going to win. Of course, everyone said the Eagles except for one person, Alex Smith, went out there and propped
Alex
up.
Smith. Okay.
Yeah, he
Uh,
made a call for the Commanders, said they would win.
okay. All right. Alex repping for one of your old teams. I
Yeah,
see you.
yeah. So hey,
We're still his favorite Commanders fans. If you catch this,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chiefs
No,
are still his number one.
let's not forget about that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think the scoreline looks a little more brutal than what the game actually was.
It was a lot closer.
Yeah, it ended 32-21. A 10 of those points came in towards garbage time there, where the Commanders just got back-to-back good possessions and did run up the, quote unquote, run up the score. But yeah, this game definitely felt close, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a Monday night classic, I would say. I
Yeah,
mean, you always love seeing divisional rivals going against each other. You always love seeing a good matchup, and it's always fun to see an upset every now and then. And that's they gave us a lot of it was a lot of entertainment, a lot of theatrics going on. Yeah, it was fun.
I do have to talk up Robinson on the Commanders, the running back. That dude is a beast. He was dragging some of those defensive linemen with him when he was running, and those guys aren't skinny by any means. It's fun to watch him, get the ball, and he's been doing this all year. It feels. I think he was injured for a few games, but I mean, he has been a shocking surprise to me. I think of somebody I didn't expect to be a player I would talk up, and especially after this game, I mean, he is a monster.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, we have an injury on the field at the Titans game. It doesn't look good. Non-contact.
Who is it?
But one of the defensive linemen.
Oof.
I'll try to get the name in a second. But let's go ahead and talk about your boy, Jeff Saturday. I don't know why I'm calling him your boy,
I'll
but Jeff
take it.
Saturday, last two games, lost against some high school and then a win against the Raiders.
It's just like, well, and the funny thing for me, like, especially since I call him out on this, and I know anyone who's half a football fan has seen it circulating the internet. On what was it, Halloween or the day before Halloween this year, he tweeted out, Raiders look awful. I think was the
Yeah,
exact tweet. And then
yeah.
a week later, he's coaching a game against them and beats them bloody. Like, I mean,
Comes to prove it.
way to talk the talk, walk the walk, talk the talk, and
Absolutely.
that game ended 25-20. I mean, everyone went into this year at the AFC West division to beat. Every single team's, got all stars. They're all amazing. It's they're going to be impossible. It's like if it was possible, they'd be. I think if it people were allowed to in the offseason, they would have sent all four teams from the AFC West to the playoffs, right? Like that's just kind of what the attitude was around the division. Raiders are 2-7, Broncos are 3-6, and the Chargers are what 5-4, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
man, the Raiders are just awful this year, and
I don't even know where that hype was coming. Again, no, again, I don't know where people were thinking this was going to be the AFC best, right? Like, they're thinking
uh-huh.
this league, oh, the Chiefs are going to have some competition or whatever. I kind of understand the Russell Wilson thing. We didn't realize we didn't realize that what he was going to look like
Yeah.
this year. I kind of understand the Herbert thing as well. We kind of thought, Herbert, young, they've given us some fits the last couple of years or
Yeah.
whatever. So we kind of, yeah, I kind of understand that too. But The Raiders, I don't know why people are saying the Raiders are in the conversation. I still don't know why. The only thing the biggest move they made was the Devontae Adams trade. Or, yeah, Devontae Adams signing. You still got Derek Carr as your quarterback. He's not good. He's not good, bro. Like,
Right.
he's not good. Like, I don't understand why he still keeps getting put on this level of like just some like game changing quarterback. He's Dak. You know what I'm saying? He's Alex Smith. He's one of those. That's who he is.
He's
Hey,
good.
Alan.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Alan.
joining. Yeah, thanks for joining in, man.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, he's
Welcome from
average.
Queensland, if I remember. Yeah. No, and I mean, I think that's where a lot of the hype did come from was Adams. Here you got the guy who's been, contender for best receiver in the league the entire time he's been in the league. I think they also forgot that he left Aaron Rodgers to be thrown to by Carr. It's just I don't know. I mean, I get it. All right, Darren Waller is fantastic tight end, and will be in the conversation for one of the best tight ends every year, and probably go to the Pro Bowl
Sure.
because Kelsey won't be, since he'll be going to the Super Bowl every year. But I get that. Renfro's not bad. He's that scrappy player that you expect to see make a few good plays until he does run into Devontae Adams and cause you to lose a game, which still is the funniest thing I've seen all year when they played against us and that happened.
Oh yeah,
Man, that was something. And then Josh Jacobs, he's that's okay. That's about all I can say about Josh Jacobs.
he's all right. He's all right.
He's all
Like
right.
he'll score you some points in fantasy.
Yeah,
He'll get you some yards.
he'll
But
get you some yards. It's just like, yeah, and I think everyone was like so hyped about their offense and just forgot about their defense. Like, okay, they got Mason Crosby, who's a freak. He's awesome, but the rest of their defense is pretty mediocre, I feel, and they've shown that this year. Um, Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think everyone was just buying in too much with Adams leaving Green Bay and going to Las Vegas, and then they were like, "Oh, wait, hold on. You need to be able to have someone to throw to you in order to make
uh,
this happen."
right. Let the record show whether it's the Chiefs or the Raiders. One receiver does not make a team. So Tyreek
Mm-hmm.
Hill losing Tyreek Hill didn't make the Chiefs all of a sudden bad. Getting Devontae Adams didn't make the Raiders all of a sudden good.
Yeah,
It's a little bit more than that, people. So yeah, sorry, small rant. Like, but it was just like I from the very beginning I didn't understand where that conversation was coming from, and we're here now looking at them now. Okay, so I will say a lot of their games were like what less than a point or one score losses.
but
Um,
well, it's not just that though. Yeah, they have had a lot of one score losses, but I think people say that to say, okay, they're good, they're just unlucky. But I think almost in every single one of those games too that they have a one score loss, they had a double digit lead at some point too.
sure.
They have blown more double digit leads than they have wins this year, and that's just, I mean, you're not, that's unacceptable. Like you can't do that. Oh man. But no, I mean, yeah, one point lead. The wind blows a little bit differently, knocks a kicker's kickoff or a throw off, and you're suddenly winning. They did almost beat the Chiefs. Let's be
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
and
It was
totally fair about that.
sure, sure.
Um,
It was a close game. That was a nail biter.
yeah.
Then they proceeded to go get shut out by the Saints a couple weeks later.
Dude, yeah, a week later. So it's, classic case of a division game just brings a different kind of energy and makes this so much more fun to watch, especially when it's Raiders Chiefs. I mean, there are a few rivalries in this league that I think can contend with that. And man, they almost got us, but thankfully they didn't.
Right. Well, let's talk about Detroit wins first road game since 2020. I didn't know that was a stat.
I heard that and I just like that has to go in. That's
That's
insane.
a very Detroit stat.
That's a very Detroit stat.
It's a very Detroit Lions stat. I didn't know that was a thing, but yeah,
Yeah.
they
Um,
did.
they're starting to get their
Uh,
feet under them. I thought when they traded, it was Hawkinson. I felt like that was them just being like, all right, we're selling this season, and we're there. We have the building blocks in place. It's like we're doing good. We're doing much better than we have been, kind of thing. But then you get rid of your best offensive weapon, the guy who Jared Goff was leaning on quite a bit,
sure.
send him over to the Vikings. I thought that was them kind of selling out. And then I was totally wrong. I mean, they played phenomenally,
Yeah,
did really good. Their defense is just outstanding, it seems. Their defense seems to be one of those defenses where it's like they're boom or bust, I feel. Kind of like the Chiefs defense has been for the past few years, where it's like our players would show up at just the right time to make up for all the mistakes they'd been making for the past 45 minutes kind of deal. And that kind of felt like the Detroit defense this week.
absolutely. I just want to go back to what we were talking about with
Oh,
the
yeah.
Raiders earlier, just reading Allen's comment. We were meant to finish fourth, apparently, with no offense, no defense, and Patrick was regressing. Cough, cough. Exactly. That did not happen. Who are these people that get paid millions of dollars to just come up with bullshit because
Oh man. It's
man,
hilarious. Yeah,
yeah, no, didn't happen.
didn't
Okay,
happen.
back to the
Back to the lines.
back to the
Now,
line.
we should be completely fair to fair to the other team here. It was the Bears that they were playing who have also been real boomer bust.
Put up 30 points.
Justin Fields is doing everything in his God-given talent ability to drag these Bears kicking and screaming across any wins that they do have. That dude
Right.
is, I mean, he is out there. I feel like every in the offseason and even before chunks of this season, people have said that Justin Fields is the weak link of the Bears, and I don't get it. I'm watching these replays or these highlights, and it seems like Justin Fields is the only reason they even have 3 wins. Otherwise, they're probably 0-10. Um,
Yeah.
so fair where fair is. It's not like they beat the Bills or the Vikings or the Chiefs or something like that. But still going to Soldier Field, to divisional game, and get out there with a 31-30 win. Uh, I'm almost not quite to the point where I'm willing to do a keep the receipts on it, but I'm almost to the point where I think the Lions could be divisional winners in the next few years, depending on where Green Bay ends up with their quarterback situation. Because it feels like they always just have an amazing quarterback somehow, whatever virgins they sacrifice to the gods to get it. So depending on that, and then also depending on just how things go overall with the Vikings, I think the Lions have the building blocks in place to become a powerhouse for at least a few years until things inevitably collapse like they always do for Detroit.
I was going to say, are they still one of the scoring leaders? I'm just kind of looking at a couple of their last games. I don't probably not anymore, but
Yeah, they have since very much relinquished that crown.
yeah,
Um, because earlier on in the season they were really running up game scores and doing really good on that front. Since then, yeah, like you said, they got shut out one week, I believe. They've had a couple of sub 20 games. I think that's kind of them going from scoring 40 points a game or whatever it was to them scoring probably about I think an average of like 7 or 8 is what prompted them to sell Hawkinson because they wanted them to sell him and get what they could for him um, before people started to suspect he had a weakness kind of deal. Which probably turns out it wasn't his fault whatsoever. He's done great with the Vikings since going over there. But they got a good deal for him, but they moved on from him because they realized like, okay, if we're going to only be scoring 8 points a game average or whatever in the last few games, we need to get some assets on hand for what we do have.
sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have to see what they do. They got the Giants next week. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these injuries real quick.
Yeah,
So
uh,
Cooper Cup,
Cooper
that's a
Cup's
big
the
one.
big one for
Yeah.
sure. It's I think it's a minimum of 4 weeks because he has been put on IR. He will have to have surgery on his ankle. I think the kind of surgery they're aiming to do, if my understanding of this is correct, and it may not be, is one of those minimally invasive ones that he can recover from very quickly. And then in
Right.
the off season, do the more invasive, genuine repair kind of surgery that you see every player go through when it comes to their ankles in the NFL, since that's just yeah, good luck having ankles after playing in the NFL, right?
Absolutely. Right. Oh, yeah. And a lower
And
back.
knees, lower back,
Yeah.
head. Man, shoot. Um,
Concussion. Yeah.
yeah. The big question is, will he return? If I'm the Rams front office and I'm looking at where we're at in the standings, there's still a chance for them to be able to make it to the playoffs. I'm not pushing Cup for it though, he is your team, your offense. Shoving him to get back so you can be a low seeded, maybe breaking 50-50 win loss and getting into the playoffs and then really ruining his career is just not worth it. I hate it for my fantasy team, obviously. I think most fantasy leagues have about 3 games left in the regular season, and then playoffs are going to be starting, and Cooper Cup's going to be out for the next 4 games. That means um, getting into the playoffs, if Cup is one of your darling picks, is going to be tough. And then if you do make it to the playoffs, you're going to have a week without him still. So it's going to be real tough to see what happens in fantasy, at least for him. But I don't know. And he's not even the worst injury, I feel like, this week, right? Like, there have been some brutal ones.
I mean,
Uh,
our guys are pretty banged up.
and Juju, and then yeah, MVS having to take a second too. This is where depth really comes into play for the NFL, and I'll be
Sure.
curious to see what happens here going on out, because this is where those massive injuries do start to rack up, since the wear and tear. Uh, People either haven't had their bye week yet, or they're just freshly off of it, so they're not genuinely healed up. Things like that. Poor Cup though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you never want to see that. Like, especially like, I mean, not that you want to see anyone get injured, but like, he's a star. Like, he's a
He
superstar in
is.
this league, and it was a rough one. Shoot, a lot of people, like you said, it's that time of year. A lot of people were banged up. AJ Brown was a little banged up
That's right. Yeah.
this week. And we know Josh Allen's been dealing with his issue with his elbow, right?
His UCL, I believe, in his elbow. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then like Alan said in the chat here, even people like Butker who are playing
Butker.
hurt,
Yes,
and don't look good. You're at that point in the season where playing hurt ends up with you playing dead at some point because you're going to just get hurt even more. So, uh, you know,
I'm gonna switch to Justin Reed. I'm switching. I'm
right?
just, hey, I'm on this agenda now. I'm on the Reed agenda.
Let's do it. Let's
The
do
Reed option. Let's do
it.
it.
Read for kicker. I love it. Or what is it? The kick that you can do if you're any player on the field is like if as long as you bounce it off of the grass and then kick it, you can kick a field goal from anywhere. Uh,
Oh, then let me try out.
yeah, exactly.
I
Like shoot,
didn't know that was
get
a
rid of the
rule.
holder. Just have Justin Reed back there catching the ball, dropping it on the ground, and then kicking it back up. So
There you go.
do it a little bit like I think rugby you can do that. I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly, but shoot, man.
And we didn't even mention McCole being put on IR this week.
So
So
that is new news as of
today, a
what
couple
like
hours ago.
yeah, I was about to say, man, that sucks for my keep the receipt since I predicted he would be our lead, our team leading receiver. It was already looking pretty bleak, but now that he's going to be on IR, and IR is a 4 week minimum commitment, I think it's the right play after seeing how good Tony did this past week. Sky Moore's still showing some flashes of brilliance too, so it's not like we have to lean on Tony to be the only
Right.
replacement for Nicole. We got Sky Moore who can step in too. This is on Sky Moore at this point in time to show he's worth being in the NFL. He's had enough
Right.
time in the practice and in actual game situations that he's really got to start stepping up. So hopefully he does, but if not, shoot, Tony's looking pretty freakingly good too.
And this move again to me kind of shows that McColl's days are numbered, at least on this team, in my opinion. I think we just signed McColl's replacement
Mm-hmm.
going into next year.
I
If
can, yeah.
we keep the receipts on that, it's they're like we don't need him. Let's put him on IR right now. We don't need him.
Yeah, and like at the very least, I feel like it's a good, smart, cautious move where it's like even if he doesn't need to be there injury wise, let him take a break, let him get healed up. He's supposed to be our speedster, and it's worthless having a speedster playing hurt because then they won't be able to produce that speed.
Speed. Yeah.
It's not like a case of like a tight end playing a little hurt or a slot guy playing a little hurt because they're not there for speed. They're there to be a body to catch a ball on those short kind of plays, right? But
Right.
yeah, your speedster, if he's hurt, there's no point in having him on the field. So let him take a little break. Tony's doing great. Did you see that? There's this absolutely fantastic little GIF that went around of one of those jump balls that Tony caught, where he was running down. I think it was about just like a 10-yard out, something real simple. But like halfway through the route, he's like adjusting his gloves because they had
Yeah,
started to come off. Dude, seeing that thing,
yeah.
I watched that thing on repeat about 200 times, just seeing him calm, cool, and collected, and pulling his gloves a little tighter, and then jumping up and catching the ball. It's just like, when you see James Bond adjusting his cuffs on his suit after, punching out a bad guy or whatever, and just like, damn, man, this is freaking awesome. I'm so glad we got this guy.
Adjusting his gloves, but the first play, his first touchdown, right, where he's like faking a hamstring injury into the end zone to troll the Giants, like that's Chef's kiss right there. That was beautiful. I was like, wow.
Okay, because I think just about everyone was holding their breath in the stadium when they saw him limping. He's like, "Oh no, he's hurt." And he's just like,
Nah,
"Nah,
he's
man,
fine.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm playing."
he's like, I'm
Oh,
just, yeah. Yeah, I never felt better.
never felt
Never.
better.
Yeah,
Oh
but
man.
yeah, let's talk about next week. What
Let's
do we
talk
got
about next
next?
week. Let's wrap this bad boy up. Chiefs Chargers moved to prime time. Uh,
Yes, we got flexed into the primetime game, baby.
what game
Which
did
is
we
great for me.
replace? Do you know?
Cincinnati. Yeah, it was
Oh, who gives a
Cincinnati
shit
and
then? Yeah, Denver probably.
yeah, is that who they play? We
I
can't
have
even hear
no
week 11.
idea.
It was probably
I just
Denver. Let's be
beat
real.
Denver.
As
Oh
much as they
man.
want to put Denver on fucking primetime, sorry people. They're
No.
just like,
Get him out of
yes.
here. No longer deserving. Here, let's see. Let me see if I can pull it up. Beat you to it, but it's probably well, no, it wouldn't be the Browns because they just played the Browns, didn't they?
No, it was Cincinnati and the Steelers. Yeah,
Steelers.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that is not
flex
a three
that
third
game.
game.
Yeah,
100%.
I would flex that game. Um, I mean, this is a classic case though, also where I kind of hate my life a little bit because about 2 weeks ago we had made plans on Sunday night
Oh,
with people who couldn't give less of a flying crap about the Chiefs. So it's just like
yeah,
I'm like, oh man. So now I have to be like, all right, do I honor these plans? I probably should. People I haven't hung
right.
out with, need to do it. I'll be checking my phone though. Bet your bottom dollar, man. I hope I catch as much of this game as I can. Maybe I'll get lucky and our plans will get changed, but. Yeah, I will unfortunately miss a good chunk of that.
Yeah, and Alan says more NBC biased commentary.
Wait,
I'm
because
okay with that. I kind of like Collinsworth. I mean, I
oh,
know
okay.
most people don't,
I
but
don't. I cannot stand it. He opens his mouth to talk. Here's a guy, and I'm just like, no, I'm going to go get a drink, go take a pee. I don't need to hear you say, "Here's a guy."
I
Uh,
know. But when I hear his voice, I'm like, it's primetime football. Like
uh-huh,
it's just something I'm used to. Like when you have to have Carrie come out and sing the song and everything.
uh-huh.
It's just part of the experience.
It is.
Him talking crazy, saying something that's not really related to what's happening. It's just
Uh-huh.
it's just part of the game.
Well, and he's one of like you can tell like the commentary he does give is good and genuine. He makes great observations. It's just the way he talks. I can't.
Yeah.
It's like well, no, it's not like Joe Buck because Joe Buck's a moron. But it's like I mean Collinsworth is just like I don't know what it is about how every time he opens his mouth, and I'm just sitting there like, can you please stop? Like,
I think
oh
that's how
man.
people felt about Madden back in the day. Now we
Oh,
love
no
it.
doubt.
Now we
Yeah, no
love it. You
doubt
know what I'm
about it.
saying? So
No, you're
nostalgia
absolutely
changes a lot of
correct.
things.
I mean, shoot, for Al Michaels to sit next to Collinsworth for quite a few years and be okay with him, you
Yeah.
can't talk too much trash on Collinsworth, but
I miss
I
Michaels on the prime
I
time on
do.
the Sunday night.
I don't even know who the name of the play-by-play is. Who is it that does it with Collinsworth?
Unfortunately, I don't. I mean, he's been with that team for a while. I just don't really know his name
Yeah,
either. Yeah, let me see if I
I
can
wouldn't
actually
I
pull
wouldn't
it up.
mind if he went away either. But hey, I mean, if the thing I'm going to complain the most about with this game is who's commentating. It's a good place to be in life, right?
I just found out, like, just while I was looking this up, that John Williams composes the Sunday Night Football theme. I
Isn't
always
that
thought it
fun?
sounded like some Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Isn't that awesome?
I
I just
always thought it sounded like the Imperial, like the stormtroopers marching in, not the Imperial March specifically, but I
uh-huh.
always thought it sounded very like, yeah,
It's just
that makes a lot of
fantastic,
sense.
right?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's Mike Tirico.
Mike
Mike
Tirico,
Mike
that's it.
Tirico is the
Yeah.
play-by-play guy. Yeah, Collins does on Pro Football Focus. By the
Yeah.
way,
What I think it was actually Was it one of the Kelsey brothers that smack talked about, like PFF takes payments in order to boost players' ratings, and then like the next game that Collinsworth was calling, he was like smack talking the Kelsey brothers podcast, just like, dang, you guys are just feeding off each other right now, huh? This is great. But yeah, Collinsworth either has a controlling percentage, if not flat out owns PFF. And I mean, credit where due. Like, dude was a great player over in the Bengals, right? He did a lot of good stuff when he was actually out on the field. Just doesn't have the personality for me when it comes to commentating. And it's probably just the same reason why Skip Bayless continues to make millions of dollars too, despite everyone not wanting him to be on TV anymore.
I listen to his show every day.
Right, exactly.
So
Oh
there you
man.
go.
Um, let's see what else do we got. We got another international game. I think this is the final international game of the year, but this is the Mexico City one. Very intrigued to see how this goes. Did you? Speaking of though, did you watch at all any of the Buccaneers? Oh, who was it? Oh, criminy sake! But the Berlin game. Did you see any of that?
No, I heard the fans were like wild out there. Like they were loving it.
They are German sports fans are something else, dude. I mean, I'll see if I can find you some like good examples of it, but Seahawks, they played the Seahawks. Yeah, German sports fans are just built different. They're wild, especially when it comes to soccer, obviously, but yeah, other sports too. And this has been a long time coming. This is the first game in Germany, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. And the Chiefs were actually supposed to have this game against the Buccaneers, but then the Buccaneers, it's considered a home game for them. So they
Sure.
decided that they didn't want to play the Chiefs because they would have rather had the Chiefs in Tampa Bay, and then they got the decision of next one to go and do, uh, which ended up being the Seahawks, and probably a right call. That's not going to drive a huge crowd into um, what's the name of their stadium? I can't even Ray something or whatever. I'm not going to drive a huge crowd to their home game, so go do it in Berlin. Man, that was a fun crowd to watch, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like, no, and uh I guess we're supposed to play there next year. There's a
Yes,
billboard Travis Kelce on the said see you soon.
yes.
So yeah, I'll love to see that. Like it sounds like the German fans like them some football. I think it was who was I talking to? Was it you? I don't think it was you. I don't know if I was listening to the Kelsey podcast, but they were saying maybe I think it was the Kelsey podcast. They were saying maybe from like because that's like a big engineering country, right? Like that's where all the German cars or whatever. So maybe it's like the strategic aspect of football that appeals to them out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is a big chess game, right? And I think that was a Kelsey podcast, and if it is, I haven't heard that episode yet, so I need to go figure that one out. I know the Hunt family has made a huge effort past 5 or so years to get games in Germany. So it was, supposed to be one of those things where the Chiefs got one of the first ones or the first one, just because it ended up being a silly situation where because we weren't the home team, we didn't get to decide to be there or not. So I think next year we get a home game there, meaning we're locked in for it. We'll definitely get it. And I mean, dude, Alliance Field. Oh my God, that place is, or not field, but stadium is just freaking gorgeous, and I would definitely love to go there sometime. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. All right.
absolutely.
Anyways, that yeah, huge sidetrack from Mexico City of the Niners versus Cardinals, and let me tell you, I
Yeah, I
couldn't
guess we
care
did
less.
kind of skip. Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess we did kind of skip that actual game, talking about that actual
Yeah.
game in the last slide. But yeah, no, Mexico versus Niners versus Cardinals should be fun for that for Mexico, right? Like the don't California. Do they normally kind of go with like a Californian team out there? I feel like it is, right?
I almost because we've played the Raiders there
We played the Raiders and the Chargers there.
and the Chargers there. They must usually go with someone at least someone out of the southeast or southwest, if not
Yeah, and then you
California. Oh, that's
got
a good
well,
pull. I had never thought about that.
I mean, I'd probably have to look it up, but I just feel like that's like a thing.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then so Niners aren't really that, but the Cardinals. they're closer to
Yeah, they're down
the
in
area.
Phoenix.
So
Yeah, so I imagine they got to have a huge support there. No, it should be a. This is one of those games where it's like you know I don't think you watch it for good football. I think you watch it because it's going to be a close game. It should be a close game, unless McCaffrey does what McCaffrey does, and just blows up the Cardinals. I mean, you know, I all I'm saying is Call of Duty Warzone 2 came out this week, so there's no way
oh
in hell
Lord,
Murray is studying.
Jesus Christ, man, with these games.
And yeah, that's why we don't have any images on this slides this week. By the way, my bad.
Oh yeah, you part of it too.
I'm just gonna own it. Yeah, I've been playing Call of Duty instead. So no, yeah, yeah, this will be an interesting one. There was an interesting move out of the Cardinals this past week where they cut what's his name, Eno Benjamin, who's kind of their backup running back. He did absolutely fantastic when James Conner was injured. So seeing him cut was really surprising, especially since James Conner has such a injury-rich history. So I'm curious to see how that is really going to pan out. You know, 1 week so far, or I think it was this week that they cut him. So assuming James stays healthy, it's going to be fine. James won't stay healthy though. He doesn't have the ability to. I got to go with Alan and Chad here. I think this is a 49ers game. You know, I think they're going to win that.
Yeah, they should win. I think the Cardinals are falling apart. It seems like the yeah, what's the name? Kyler's questionable. Like I saw Hopkins got put on IR. They've been fighting on the sidelines. They've been fighting in the locker room. I can't wait to
Hmm.
watch this Hard Knocks. I haven't watched it yet, but it just seemed like that just seems it. You know, I know players, teammates fight, like teammates argue or whatever. We get heated and everything, but it's there's you can always kind of get a vibe of when like the locker room is toxic. You know what I'm saying? Like on certain teams, like there's like that argument where it's like, okay, these guys are button heads right now, but like the team is not. The team is fine. And then there's like this where I'm like, this is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think the Niners are definitely going to win. I think the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals missed the playoffs for sure. Like
And
a thousand.
yeah, the NFC West is just a fight for who can suck the most, I feel. And I mean, Cardinals are leading the way there, surprisingly, especially with Geno Smith doing what he's been doing with the Seahawks. Yeah, that division's going to be between the Seahawks and the 49ers, especially with them having McCaffrey now. Problem is, they seem to be on opposite ends. You know, Geno Smith's the one leading the Seahawks, and he doesn't have a huge amount of other things going for him. He had DK Metcalf, but he hasn't been super stellar this year, I feel. You know, that's a case of a quarterback dragging a team to victory despite themselves. And then the 49ers seem to be a team that's dragging their quarterback to wins despite his best efforts because Jimmy G is not it, dude. They need to replace him as soon as they possibly can. Maybe they can pick up Aaron Rodgers, right? You know, get him out there and go play some ball in San Francisco. I don't.
They don't want that.
Cause
I know he's a hometown kid. They don't want that.
well, right, and that's the only reason I can even think of it happening. But shoot, man, um, yeah, the 49ers, they need to figure out their quarterback situation before they will be able to win the Super Bowl. I feel.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's move on to you haven't put the Vikings Cowboys game of the week or Jets Patriots contender. I don't think it's either one of those.
Okay, who do you got?
I think it's us. I think Chiefs Chargers. It's
Chiefs Chargers. Okay.
been electric every matchup these last couple of years. My Apple Watch usually has my heart rate at like 130 during those games. They've been exciting, and I think we'll probably get another probably exciting game this one as well. So that's my game of the week. I think the Vikings Cowboys. Cowboys, you know, they're winning. They have a winning record. I don't think they're like a good team like that. I think they're just kind of a average team. And I think Vikings gonna. I honestly think Vikings gonna whoop the brakes on them. You know what I mean? I'm a Vikings believer now. I'm a Vikings believer.
I'm with you 100% there. I wrote these slides before really thinking it all the way through. Yeah, I mean you're right. While the Cowboys are 6-3, it feels like they only have 6 wins because their defense is just playing lights out most of the time. The problem is those 3 losses have been caused by the defense too. It feels the defense either shows up or they don't. And they got to be firing on all cylinders to be facing that Vikings offense, and I don't see it. I think this game. I said I called it a game of the week. In hindsight, thinking about it a little bit more, I think the Vikings win by a clean 20, if not more. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
And then you said Jets Patriots. That should be a good
Jets.
matchup.
Yeah, I'm putting this one there as a contender because I think if the Jets win, that does put them as a solid one in the AFC East, no matter what any of the other outcomes are.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, the Dolphins are on bye week this week.
Yes.
They're number one in the AFC East only because they haven't had a bye week yet, so they just have one more win, but they also have one more game played than everyone else. I think if the
True.
Jets do win this, that does put them at in the number one slot. Um, Also, the AFC East is just shockingly good this year. I don't think we've been talking about them enough because we're surprised by the other East division in the NFC East. AFC East has been crazy. I think every team has a winning record. Patriots defense is just they're the number one defense in the league for a reason right now.
Sure.
Jets they would be playing better if Brees Hall wasn't injured, but it seems like they really haven't missed a beat with him being injured, and that's
Sure.
been really nice to see. I'm really glad. Like I put so much stock in them because of Brees Hall, and I know you're a huge Brees Hall fan too. When he went down, I thought, okay, that's their season done. I think they've been undefeated since he's been injured, though, 2 weeks or whatever it's been. Um, so yeah, that's a great game, but I think you're right. I think the game of this week is without a doubt Chiefs Chargers.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And Alan's comment, we did mention on talk about this earlier about Clyde not really being safe. Yeah, I mean, he definitely didn't look like he was safe after this game. I mean, we might not see Clyde or McColl next year.
I think I think if the two names that will disappear that will shock people, I think would be those two names for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I see Raiders, Broncos. Moving on. Um,
Yeah, yeah. All right, good talk about that game. All right, rest of the best. What else do we got out here that should be a lot of fun to watch?
let's see. Let's see. I had it pulled up and then I lost it. Like
Right,
NFL Week 11.
Lions Giants. I think. I think if the Lions were to win, I wouldn't be that surprised. I think this could be one of those trap games. I mean, we just saw it with the Commanders Eagles. We've seen it with the Colts and Chiefs. I think this has the makings for a really good trap game. We would expect the Giants to win. They're 7-2, and they're playing better than anyone ever anticipated them. I don't know. I think there's something about that Lions defense that will be able to shut down Barkley, and if they can do that, that puts the game in Daniel Jones' hands, and that's a recipe for disaster right there. So that might be a fun one to watch in the middle of the day.
It is weird to think about Lions Giants being like a trap game for the Giants just the last couple of years,
Right,
but
right. You
but
wouldn't
you're right.
expect that to be a trap game for anyone, right?
Yeah, right. I want to talk about this one. Bills Browns. Bills
Okay.
Browns. Uh I mean Browns, they still don't have they still don't have your boy back,
My
the
boy.
South Panthers. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I get you. I get you for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, so I keep saying that. No, he's not any of our boys. We do
no,
not
we don't like
support
him at all.
we don't support this man.
Uh,
But
the big one for me when it comes to this game, I don't know if you've heard the news. The game got moved.
yes,
The
yeah, that's
yeah,
right. That's right. Yes. It's so what was it, 6 feet of snow?
it's
Or
something ridiculous.
something?
Which I'm sorry, you're freaking football players. You're grown ass adults. Play football in the snow. Like you're gonna be okay. But yeah, I understand why they can't
I don't
because you
know.
can't broadcast a game that's getting that much snow. All you would see is white on the screen.
That okay, that no. I mean, I get what you're saying, but like there's fans, there's people
Yeah,
who
man.
like they gotta stand there. Like at least you're on the field, you're moving.
All
If you're in
right.
the stands just standing there for 3 hours and 6 inches, 6 feet of snow, like yeah, there would definitely be some deaths. You know what I'm saying? Like like no,
This
no,
is
it's
being
not a
done
good
for the safety of many people and not just because the players on the field are little pansies. Absolutely. You're absolutely
yeah.
correct. Oh
Talking about
man.
thunder snow, which I've never heard of until today. Thunder
You've
snow.
never heard of that? Oh, I guess yeah, because when you were up at KU, it never would have happened, did it? I'm trying to think, like when we
I
were
don't
there.
remember.
Oh, dude,
We
Thunder
have
Snow's
snow,
the
but not
best.
thunder snow.
Thunder Snow is the coolest weather event in the entire world, and I mean, it's the one thing that's redeeming about winter. Oh, for sure. We get it here every once in a while. It's so cool, like having that lightning and that thunder roll in with yeah, a few inches of snow coming down. That's Christmas weather to me. That's what I want. But
Sure,
you get it
sure.
so rarely, but the Bills see it all the time. It is dangerous. It is dangerous weather. Like this is almost blizzard-like conditions apparently that they'll be getting. And you start throwing in lightning too. Shoot.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. We wanted that ice bowl. We
Yeah.
always want like a good weather game, right? Like this
Yeah.
could have been that, but yeah, that just sounds like a
Well,
logistical
and
nightmare.
and I think it speaks volumes that there was a hurricane actively heading towards Tampa Bay when the Chiefs and Buccaneers were going to play, and the NFL was like, yeah, well, we'll see, what happens. We're probably not going to move the game, and that's a hurricane. So for them to be like, oh yeah, that weather storm going to be bad, and then move the game out, that means that's going to be a bad storm.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So yeah, they're playing in Detroit. So yeah, that'll be even. Um, yeah, I'm sure. Are they showing that game? I don't know if I mean, obviously, I think the Bills are probably going to win, but man, it would have been
I
interesting. Now that you kind of talking me into it, it would have been interesting if they actually just stuck with it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think I think the fact that you take away a home field advantage for the Bills, and you're sticking them in Detroit, so that's going to be real neutral ground. I mean, yeah, Cleveland's closer to Detroit than Buffalo is. I think. Well, actually, that's a good question. I don't know. I think if they could travel by water, Buffalo would be closer. But the thunder
No, I think
snows
Cleveland is closer
yeah.
to
So like
Detroit.
by driving, yeah, it would be closer. So I'm curious
Yeah,
to see like what the makeup of the fans is going to be like. It's always interesting to me when they have these like sudden moves because 90% of those Bills fans aren't going to be able to make the game, especially since they'll be shut in with this 6 feet of snow. They're not going to be out there shoveling their way out.
on the way.
So it'll be curious. Now, one thing I am curious about though too is a lot of the reason this game does have to be moved is because the Bills do not have a covered stadium, but they have recently proposed a covered stadium.
which
Uh,
is which is tragic to
it,
me.
it really is, honestly.
Come on, man,
NFL
Lambeau.
teams should not be allowed to have covered stadiums. The Super Bowl should never be played in a covered stadium. It should be played north of the Mason-Dixon line all the time. We love those kind of weather games, right?
No, I don't disagree. No, I do disagree with that. No, we don't. No, 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 no. We don't need a Super Bowl in the Bills Stadium. No,
In the middle
I do
of a
not want that.
thunderstorm, 6 feet of
No,
snow, you see
no,
Patrick
no, no,
Mahomes
no.
out there doing his little quarter between the butt cheeks run, trying not to slip on
Absolutely
the.
don't want that. I absolutely do not want that. I do not want that at all. But no, I mean, you got the classic open air. Like we're watching Green Bay in Lambeau right now. It's Lambeau, man. I would hate for Lambeau to be covered up. I would hate for Arrowhead to be covered up. What do they call their field now in the Bills play? It's New Era Field or something like
Yeah,
that.
something
I
like
don't even
that.
think it's that anymore. But yeah, man, it's kind of part of like those teams' cultures, identities, or whatever.
Yeah,
Don't cover it up. Don't cover it up.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll just move it to Detroit. We'll be safe there. What was I going to say? Uh, Allen's going to have summertime. Is that how
Yeah,
weather works?
Australia, they're in summer now.
I didn't.
So while we're over here freezing our butts off, Alan's over there in, a Hawaiian shirt sitting on the beach and sipping.
Speak speak for yourself. It's like 50 degrees out here.
Oh, you know what? All right, we got to talk.
No, what was I going to say? Damn, no, I lost it.
No,
Okay,
you
moving
lost.
on.
All right.
Yeah, moving on. What? Any other games to talk about?
I'm looking through the rest of the slate here. No,
Yeah,
everything's boring, it looks. I
yeah.
mean, we have a couple of exciting games sprinkled throughout. It's not like there's any time slot that'll be missing a good game, but I mean, I'm looking at this. Yeah, honestly, couldn't care less about the rest of the games. Um,
Uh,
Nothing really playoff implication-y either, other than like the 49ers Cardinals. Um, yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
Let's go back to our game
Yes, please.
in terms of playoffs and like stakes and everything. So where are what is the Chargers record right now?
The
Let's see.
Chargers right now
They're 5 and
are,
4.
yeah,
Five and
five and
four.
four. They're in second place in the West,
Yeah.
so they're two
Yeah,
games
that's
back from us.
yes. So important game, I would say they're 5 and 4. Let me see who they've played.
They
Uh
we're in this weird situation with the Chargers right now and Herbert specifically where I think he's always beaten us at home and we've always beaten them at home. I don't think the Chiefs have beaten Herbert in Arrowhead since Herbert became their starter. That might not be true, but I feel like that is. And I know we've like spanked them left and right every time we go out there to Inglewood. So, uh, yeah, I'm curious. We're 2-0 in the division this year. They're 2-1. Their loss came against the Broncos, I think it was. Um, yeah,
They
I
lost against the Broncos, and they beat the Broncos.
it was it the Raiders then
Uh,
that they lost to.
no, they beat. Well, hang on. So
They've lost to either the
they,
Broncos or oh wait, hold on. The Broncos are 0-2 in the division, so it had to be the Raiders. The Raiders beat the Chargers then.
yeah,
Process of elimination there.
right. Uh, so no, they've got us. They beat the Broncos, and they beat the. No, I think they lost. They beat the Raiders. You said they're what in the division?
They're 2-1 in the division, so they've lost to someone. And the Raiders have a 1-2 record, so it has to be the Raiders.
I guess you're right. Why am I tripping?
Well, there's plenty of reasons why that's possible there,
Yeah,
huh? I mean, look at the breakup of the teams. We have the third best offense in the league right now, and they're in the 20th or in the 20s, so that's going to be rough. The difference is their passing game is incredible. It's just their rushing. Somehow their rushing is worse than ours. I'm amazed that we're 22nd in the league when it comes to rushing because I feel like we should be about 35th out of 32 teams. Um,
I'm surprised they're so bad.
yeah,
Austin Eckler and everybody.
yeah. So it'll be really interesting. It's when it comes to defense, we're pretty evenly matched. I think they have a pretty good run defense, which doesn't matter when you don't have a run game. you know? So it's going to be on who's that safety of theirs? Derwin James. It's going to be this game like is going to be won or lost depending on how good Derwin James plays for the Chargers. I feel.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not really concerned,
No,
honestly.
no, this is an easy win. So
Yeah,
I'm feeling fine about that.
yeah. So, they, you know,
We
I'm
we
still
doing
messing
good?
with
You
the
still trying to figure out who they?
yeah, because it's because I'm looking at their wins and losses right here. So it's the They lost to the Jags. They lost to the Seahawks, the Niners, and I don't know. I guess maybe the way this is set up is
It's just confusing. Oh, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, we got a stretch in Los Angeles here where we're playing the Chargers and then we're playing the Rams the week after at home. Um, Always fun to see that kind of stuff going on, and two, teams that should be pretty pass heavy, but all of a sudden haven't been looking too strong. Especially with the Rams losing Cup. So yeah, it's going
Yeah,
to be no, it's going to be a good game. Sunday night football, a little primetime lights. I mean, that's where Mahomes accelerates anyways. So it doesn't even matter how good Herbert is. Let's see it.
they'll they'll be juiced up. They'll be juiced.
I don't know, man. All right, what's our score prediction here though? This is what we need to wrap with, isn't it? We haven't done it yet. I already wrote down Hung saying Chargers will win 62-0, so we got her covered here.
I'm gonna be nice to Hong today, and say that she probably thinks it'll be 30-17.
30-17 for the Chiefs.
That's Hong's my that's Ross Hong's prediction. But my prediction is
You said 37-17 for her. Is that right? Or
30,
34?
30, 30 to 17.
30 to 17.
Something crazy like that.
Let's see it. All right, what about yours though? What are you pulling off here?
Oh my gosh. Alan said over under Kelsey gets body slammed again. That still was just unbelievable to watch. Like what?
Just the amount of core strength you have to be able to pick up Kelsey like that and just put him down. I mean, Derwin James is different, man. I'm saying.
Dude is strong. Dude is strong. For sure. Yeah, but what I'm saying is We are going to beat them 38 to 24.
24. Okay.
That's an outrageous score, but I'm sticking to
No, I love it.
it.
I love it. Do you follow? Speaking of outrageous scores, do you follow what's it called, Scoregami on Twitter? Oh,
No, I need to know. Isn't it like something? It's like the craziest scores that's like never happened or something
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
they track every game and then give like the statistical probability that that game will end in a score that's never been done before in the NFL.
Right.
And like it's insane. Like because what they'll do is they'll list like if a game's in process and going to end in a score that it lists what the statistical likelihood of it ending in a game that it has never been scored before. And you'll see these things where it's like, next possible score considering there's like 58 to 2 kind of thing. It's just
Right.
like like there's like a 2% chance of this happening kind of deal. It's fascinating. I'm a statistical nerd there, but man, it's yeah, that's a good one to follow.
Totally. And then I want to finally kind of clear up my confusion.
Mm.
Look at Chiefs. It's late. I look at Chiefs stuff all the time, and I've been looking at we lost. We beat them. So they lost to us, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, and the Niners. So those are their four losses.
There we go.
Yeah, so
Well, okay, so I can see, yeah, they're losing to teams they probably should lose to. I can see that outside of the Raiders, but
they got whooped by the Jaguars. That makes no sense.
man,
38 to 10.
yeah, Jags are just strange. All right, I'm going full hog here. I'm saying 44-17 Chiefs win.
Okay,
I'm
let's get
going
it.
for it.
All right. But yeah, anything else?
Um, I do want to plug again the little sidelines that we did last week, especially with the World Cup starting this weekend. We did a sideline discussion, almost 2 hours long, discussing the upcoming World Cup, the human rights issues in Qatar, what sports washing is, and how it relates to all of this. I think it was a really good podcast. I was pretty proud of it, and it's really relevant right now with everything coming up with the World Cup starting, and then of course Dan Snyder talking about selling the Chargers. So I do want to plug that. I'll even plug that over my own name on Twitter. So yeah, please go find that podcast and listen to it. I think.
Definitely learned a lot from that, and it's like I said, there's actually a Netflix docu
Yes.
series
Yeah.
released kind of on the same subject. So could be a good. I mean, we're not part of Netflix or anything, but definitely a good companion piece. You listen to our talk, and if you're interested in learning more about it, you can definitely check that out. As we enter getting close to the World Cup, I believe it starts on Sunday night.
That
Correct?
sounds right. Yeah.
On Sunday night. Yeah, and we definitely plan to do more of these sideline discussions. So if there'd be anything that you'd be interested to talk about
Yes.
or hear us talk about, or chime in the chat, let us know in the comments. Like we'd love to. Uh, we'll during the season. Not really sure how often we'll get these done, but we'll definitely give you a heads up long before, and we definitely plan to do a lot more of them during the off season. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it won't just be. It won't always be. Uh, it doesn't have to always be sports related. It could be off the. That's what hence the sideline discussion. We like to talk about. We're big movie fans here. We like to talk about movies, different things like that. So yeah, give us your thoughts. We'd love to hear it. But yeah, I think we got a wrap. We're 106 minutes in
Man, we've
to
been
this
doing some
stream.
beefy ones lately. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just kind of going.
About to start
Fun
losing
though.
my voice. Yeah. Yeah. So all right. Guess where can we find you at then, Ra?
Find me at the Almighty Raw on Twitter and Instagram. Uh, please follow our show on Twitter as well, SOT Kingdom KC. I'm changing it up. We used to follow like every Chiefs fan that followed us back. We're only gonna follow you back if you also join our Discord.
Heck yeah.
So if you join our Discord, give us a follow. We'll definitely follow you back. We'd love to have you there. We have some fun talks, especially during the games. Like we love to like just kind of talk trash on there and have fun. Kind of talk about the crazy stuff we see on the field. So join us on Discord, join us on Twitter, join us on YouTube, State of the Kingdom. Um,
not
and yeah,
not the Kingdom Hearts one.
not the Kingdom Hearts one. Not the you see Donald Duck, you took a wrong turn there. Billy, where can they find you?
All right, Twitter's best place right now for as long as Twitter continues to exist at Chef Doobles, CHEFD. Doobles. I love live tweeting those games. No, like Ross said though, please get on our Discord. We've been having a lot of fun on there. Topics of discussion channel during the game. Get involved, and then yeah, like Ross said, throw down some comments in there too, and we'll make sure to talk about them during our weekly podcast. And then, yeah, you mentioned how to find it on YouTube. It's also youtube.com/@ State of the Kingdom. You can search for us there if you can't find us with just using the regular search bar. So please, please, please subscribe.
Can we okay, people, this is officially the end of the show. Stay behind if you'd like.
The
But we'll see y'all
After
next
Dark.
week. Yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Go Chiefs, baby.
Yeah,
Can we talk about this? What is happening with Twitter right now?
man. Dude, I'm seeing just constant stuff on there. It's an absolute insane. Like, just like I'm getting more news about Twitter on Twitter than I am anywhere else, and
I
it's
just, I just logged on. And I was like, yo, I saw RMR speaking of our Discord. RMR 23 posted in the Discord. He said, "Yo, is Twitter cooked? Like it's destroyed by this weekend." So I logged on, and I'm just seeing all the hot mess tweets that are going on. Twitter HQ in San Francisco. They've got Elon Musk, Supreme Parasite, Petulant Pimple, Apartheid Profiteer, Dictator. Yeah, and then
Man, because yeah, my understanding is like today, they were having some issues with people who they had let go all this sudden still being able to access the building because they couldn't figure out how to like shut off badges and stuff like that. So what they did instead of a mature adult response is they went ahead and just denied access to literally every single one of their employees into Twitter HQ, and they're like, for from this day until later to be determined, work from home. We we can't figure out how to shut off access to people we've let go. So we're just shutting off access to everyone until we can figure out what's happening. It's absolute madness out there. It's freaking hilarious.
hey, this is amazing. I mean, it's not amazing. It's kind of scary.
No, it's incredibly terrifying, but also yeah, very scary. Oh man, have you seen Black Panther yet?
Yes, I do want to actually save that conversation
Okay.
for maybe one of these sideline discussions. But yeah, I
Yes.
did see Black Panther. I have a lot to say about it, and I think it would be a good discussion to do as our own separate show.
There we go. Hey, if you're still listening
Absolutely.
to the, State of the Kingdom After Dark, let's hear about your hot takes on Black Panther. I'm seeing it Saturday, so I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll save it. We'll definitely maybe we'll have a talk next week.
All right, dude. We'll take it easy.
All right, man.